When President Obama accepted his Nobel Peace Prize back in 2009, he told the audience he was only at the beginning of what he called his labours on the world stage. 6 years on, those labours have borne fruit, rooted in one of his central foreign policy tenets. Dialogue, even with America's enemies, must be given a chance. A clear break from the warmongering of his predecessor, President Bush. After 40 years of bitter animosity between Washington and Tehran, on Tuesday his administration, along with its international partners, secured a deal to curb Iran's nuclear activities.
This deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change. Change that makes our country and the world safer and more secure. It's now more than 50 years since President Kennedy stood before the American people and said, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate."
But Republican critics say the White House was too diplomatic, wanting a deal at any price.
We already know that it's going to leave Iran as a threshold nuclear state. It appears as if the administration's approach to this was to reach whatever agreement the Iranians are willing to enter into.
Elsewhere, the door to negotiations has been opened to another of America's enemies. After more than half a century of hostility, Washington and Havana have agreed to restore diplomatic ties, with the reopening of their respective embassies due to take place later this month. The White House has also removed Cuba from its terror blacklist. But there's one adversary Obama isn't willing to negotiate with: the Islamic State organization. Faced with the growing threat of the jihadists, the president's finger has never been too far from the trigger.
I've made it clear that we will hunt down terrorists who threaten our country wherever they are. That means I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria as well as Iraq.
In another conflict zone, Ukraine, his diplomatic efforts have only resulted in a shaky ceasefire, while tensions with Russia continue to mount. And one of his priorities in coming to power still remains unaccomplished. US-led negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians have stalled, with Obama saying he's reviewing his options after Netanyahu once again ruled out a Palestinian state after re-election this year.